Welcome to another video. We start with this suspicious looking package, so let's take a look and see what's in there. Yes, it is the new mattress. So this is a high density foam mattress and I got it online at one of these kind of Foam Direct kind of places. I'll put the link in the description. The first thing we've got to do though is chop this mattress down to size. So inside the van, as you can see, I have the bed platform out. That bit at the end there is actually the table, so that's going to form part of the bed. So one of the advantages of ordering a kind of specific foam from one of these foam places is that they will cut it exactly to the size you want. So I ordered a 3.5 inch thick foam mattress that was 130 wide and 2 meters in length. So I've just got to chop it down now into the individual pad sizes. So now I have the line marked, it's now time to cut the foam, and I'm using an electric bread knife to do this. I've read online and looked at YouTube videos, and this seems to be the best piece of equipment to use. That's if I can figure out actually how to use it. Ah, there we go. So the electric bread knife is amazing. It cuts through just like an electric bread knife through like bread. So new foam like this, turns out it's quite rubbery in this format without being covered, so it's quite tricky to put it in there. It doesn't really just slide into the van, you got to jostle it into position, but I get it in there and oh, it's looking good. So I can't help myself, I've got to have a test of the goods and see what it's like, and I have to say it is really comfortable. It is very firm, but that's perfect. It's going to be great for the seat part of it, and it makes sure that your shoulders don't dig into the wood, which is what was happening before, so yeah, really happy with that. So I've gone ahead and chopped up that foam slab into the separate seat pads that I needed. I didn't film that bit because I was deliberating for so long, trying to figure out how high each piece should be so they all slotted together perfectly. But I've got the right mix now, and I've cut out all the cutouts for the kind of the hinges for the chairs and everything. So I think this is looking pretty good now. As you can see, I can still access that top cupboard and pull out the cooker slider drawer if I want to make a cup of tea in bed. Thing I've got to do, I've got to chop off like an angle on each corner there to allow the seat belt to come out nicely, and then that will also allow it to, when it goes into bed mode, it will kind of be that corner for where the pillar is, so it will fit in better there. Next thing to do is to chop the last piece down. Now I'm going to make it so that fits in there perfectly, and then I'll end up with a backrest, and then I'll have two pads for here, so it makes it a lot easier to move them around. So I've already measured it, so I've cut this slab up. So those two slabs actually form the L-shaped seating area and the end of the bed as well. As you can see, the seats all looking pretty good. Everything's cut in there. I do cut the seat belts in as well, but I don't actually have the covers for this yet. I don't have the material yet. I have got it on order and it will be arriving soon. So I'm going to turn my attention to the electrical system. So let's dive into that and see what I've got to do there. Okay, so I'm going to start installing the electrical sockets and switches and things, and I'm going to be using these kind of, the Campervan outlets. So these are the face plates. They just kind of snap together, and I'm just marking out the holes for the first set of switches that I need. Okay, to go with this fascia, I've got 3 different modules here, so these all just clip into these. So I've got one for the fridge. I kind of wanted a different one for the fridge just so I could see when it was on and off. And they've got 2 switches for the lights, because I think I'm only going to need 2 light switches on this one. And then I've got a USB, so I'm going to have a USB, 2 light switches and the fridge switch. So I can just switch the fridge on straight from the sliding door, so I can get it all kind of cooling down when I'm getting prepared for a trip. So yeah, I'll put these inside the fascia and then we'll see if we can put them in there. One of the things I really like about this system is the fact that it's completely modular, so you can choose whatever switches or sockets, outlets. There's all sorts of different things you can get. As you'll see in a bit, I've got some 240 volt outlets. You can have the 12 volt kind of cigarette lighter type thing. So it's up to you what you want to choose. So if anything goes wrong as well, it's very easy just to take the faceplate off and swap it out for another one. And they will simply go on there, push, like that. And then obviously the fascia then snaps on the top of there. I'm just going to line this thing up as best as I can. Oh my god, it's just started absolutely chucking it down. Cool. There we go, that's going to be cool. I reckon that looks pretty smart actually. Now put in these sockets for the back. And we're going to put in the a big master switch that's going to go in here to cut the power to the unit. Right, let's move on. Okay, just starting to get the things wired up now. Got my fuse board in there, so I'll be able to see it from the sliding little door thing. I've made this really cool little plate there. That's for the lighting circuit. So this top one's going to be for the under the counter lighting, and that's going to be the inside of the van lighting. This way I can disconnect them and have the whole unit removable still, so everything's going to be disconnectable. As you can see, I've got my latches here. That's what I'm using to actually make sure the worktop can just be disconnected very quickly. The whole thing will literally come out in seconds. It's really good. So yeah, I'm just going to plow on and keep wiring everything up. So that's everything wired up inside the cabinet. I think it looks pretty neat. I'm pretty happy with it. Everything seems to be checking out all right. I've got my 12 volt for the fridge here. I'm using a 12 volt kind of power outlet cigarette lighter. So I'll just be able to simply plug the fridge in there and slide it in. At the back of the unit, I've got my 240 volt outlets there. As you can see, I am going to get a cover for them. I'm not happy with just leaving them as they are. So hopefully a little cover will go over the top of them. I've got my fuse board, which I'll be able to access through that tambour door there, and it's got like LEDs on it to tell you if there's a fuse blown. So that's all the cabinet wiring done, so I need to turn my attention now to the wiring inside the van, and let's get that tidied up. So I need to sort out all the cables now, but the first thing I've got to do is actually take all these bits off here and replace that wood so it looks the same as the kitchen unit. And I'm not going to be putting these switches back in here, or these ones. I'll probably put that one back in because that's quite handy, and I am going to have another socket plus a USB outlet here. So I'm going to have to disconnect all the batteries and cover up the solar panel, because obviously they're all going to be giving charge into all the wiring, and if I'm taking all this to pieces, I've got to be careful and make sure I don't set fire to anything. Now I've got to take this panel off and remake it. Yeah, let's take it off and let's see what's behind there. So as you can see, it looks like spaghetti bolognese back there. This is actually from a professional company that actually installed this, and I think it's okay, but to me it's a bit scrappy looking. So I'm going to tidy all this up. They'll be all super clean, this will be. Okay, so I don't need any of this, which is cool, so I can just check that out. So you can see lots of connections on here, so I don't need all them. So I'm going to simplify all this. Okay, I've got this piece saved from the beginning of the build. Here's the panel for the back, for the electrics, and that's the piece of wood for it. As you can see, I've cut the electrical panel down to size, and I'm just going to test fit it, just make sure it fits before I go any further. Okay, so I kind of got carried away, and I've done that whole panel now and forgot to film any of it, but as you can see, the wiring behind there is a lot neater now. It's all tidied up, and I've got my 240 volt socket wired up onto the panel. I've got the fuse box back in there, and it's all looking pretty good. There's a USB socket there, 240 volt. So another thing that I did in the back there was I put in a new USB socket in the passenger side at the rear. This is going to be really handy for charging up a phone. So I simply just ground out the existing hole, because I think there was a 12 volt cigarette lighter type outlet there. So I just ground out the hole because it needs to be a bit bigger, and then installed the USB, and that goes back round to the new panel. So that's all sorted now. So the next thing on my list is to install a brand new feed cable from the 12 volt batteries to all the 12 volt circuits at the back. So I've decided to upgrade the wire that was there to a much thicker wire. So as you can see, I've routed it down by the driver's side door. There's actually a little channel down there at the bottom under the foot plate. So that new cable gets routed all the way through to the leisure battery under the bonnet, and I'm going to put in a brand new fuse breaker in there. It's going to be a 40 amp breaker. This will isolate all the 12 volt circuits in the back from there. And as you can see, I've now got that breaker all wired in, and that just gives me a little bit extra peace of mind, and it's such a simple job. So now it's time that I turn my focus onto the lighting, because it is quite dark in the van now because I've ripped it all out. And yeah, so I put these two light bars up, and I think these look pretty sleek. They're quite bright, so I have dulled them down a little bit by just scratching up the inside of the lenses. I'll show you those lights all working at the end of the video, because we're nearly at the end now, and the next thing to do is to do the LED lights under the worktop. I've just soldered some strips of LED together. So these bits of wires are going to bend around the corners, and hopefully that's how I'm going to do it neatly, I think. We'll see. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check that it actually works and plug it into the back and just switch it on. Right, let's put it on and let's check. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Look at that. All LEDs are working. Right, let's stick it under the counter. So we're all plugged in, and I think it's time to test everything and see what it looks like. To do this, I've got to turn on my industrial size on-off switch, and this will power up all the circuits. So here goes nothing. Let's hope this all works. Yay, it does. Oh, that looks really cool. I'm very happy with that. As you can see, it's a really nice warm light for that one, because it is supposed to be more of an ambient light. So let's switch on the other lights, because these are a different colour entirely. These are gone for more of a bluey sort of daylight look. I'm hoping these would be good for like preparing food and reading a book or something like that. Just gives you a little bit more light. Well, I think that's enough updates for one video. I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got the foam and the electrics all in. We've now got to just cover the foam, and I think that's pretty much it. And I can get out camping in the van, which is what I really want to do. So thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers!